Okay, so let's say we have a circle like this one here in red, and its center is at the origin, so this is the point 0, 0, and it has a radius of length r, okay? This can be described using the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So for example, let's say we had a circle like this here with its center at the origin, and it had a radius of 4. This can be described using the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 16, because 4 squared is 16, okay? Let's say instead we have a circle like this here, where it has a radius of r, but instead of the circle being at the origin, like these two here, the circle does not have a centre at the origin. It has a centre at the point A, B, okay? This can be described using this equation here. X minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared, where the centre is AB and the radius is r. Okay, so for example, let's say that we had this equation here for a circle. X minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 49, and we need to find the centre and the radius. So this is in this format here, x minus a, where here the a is 3, and the y minus b, so here the b is 4, and the r squared here is 49. Okay, so the centre is going to be 3, 4, and the radius is going to be the square root of 49, which is 7. So the circle has a centre 3, 4 and a radius of 7. So if we were going to draw this, it would look like this here. So this is the centre and this is the radius. Okay, so here's another example. So let's say we had the equation x plus 6 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to 5, and we need to find the centre and the radius. So this is also in this format here, okay? So the centre, okay, so this is x plus 6 here. Remember that this needs to be a minus here, so that means the sign here is going to be flipped. So the centre, the x coordinate, is not going to be 6, it's going to be minus 6, and then we have this y minus 7 here, so this is in the form y minus b, so this here is b, so it's just positive 7 like this here. So this is the centre, minus 6, 7, and then the radius, so remember this here is r squared, so this here is 5, so the radius is going to be the square root of 5. So this is what the circle is going to look like. It's going to have a centre of minus 6, 7 and a radius of root 5. Okay, now sometimes it might be the other way round, where you're given the centre and the radius and you need to find the equation in this format here. So a circle has centre minus 4 minus 5 over 2 and a radius of 4 root 2, and we need to find the equation of the circle here, okay? So it's going to be x, and then it's going to be minus a here. Now this is minus 4, so remember the sign is flipped, so it's going to be plus 4, like this here, squared, plus, and then it's going to be y, so we have this minus 5 over 2, which is the centre, so the sign is flipped, so it's going to be plus 5 over 2 like this here, squared, and this is equal to r squared, so the radius is 4 root 2, so we need to square this, and if you square it, it is equal to 32, okay? So this here is the equation of the circle. Okay, now sometimes they will give you the equation of a circle in this expanded format here, and you need to convert it into this format here, okay? So the way that you do this is using completing the square, okay? So this here, let's rewrite this, but let's group the x and the y terms together. So let's group the x terms together, so it's x squared plus 2x, and then let's group the y terms together, so we have y squared minus 3y, then we have minus 10, and this is equal to 0, okay? So we need to use completing the square on this, okay? So we did a video on completing the square, so go back to that if you need a reminder. We need to do it individually for the x terms and the y terms. So let's start with the x terms. So let's do it for this x squared plus 2x here. So remember how we complete the square, okay? So we get rid of this power of 2 here, so it's just x, and then we half this number here, so here it's plus 2, so we're going to half it to plus 1 like this here, and then we're going to square it, and then we're going to minus the square of this number here. So this is 1, so 1 squared is just 1, so we're going to minus 1 like this here, okay? Now let's focus on the y terms here, okay? So this is y squared minus 3y. So this is going to be, get rid of the power of 2, so it's just y. We're going to half this minus 3, so it's now minus 3 over 2, and then squared like this here, and then we're going to square this 3 over 2 and minus this, so the square of 3 over 2 is 9 over 4, so we're going to minus 9 over 4 like this here. So we can rewrite this equation here, instead of x squared plus 2x, we can write it as x plus 1 squared minus 1, and then instead of the y squared minus 3y here, we can write it as y minus 3 over 2 squared minus 9 over 4 like this here. Remember, we still have this minus 10 on the end here, and this is equal to 0. So we can rewrite this. So let's write this as x plus 1 squared, and then let's write this plus y minus 3 over 2 squared like this here. We have minus 1 minus 9 over 4 minus 10. Okay, if you put this into your calculator, this is equal to minus 53 over 4, okay, and this is equal to 0. And then we're going to rewrite this by bringing this minus 53 over 4 onto the other side. So we're going to write this as x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 over 2 squared is equal to 53 over 4, and this here is in this format of x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared. So for this equation of the circle here, the centre is equal to, so we have plus 1 here, so it's going to be minus 1, and we have minus 3 over 2 here, so it's going to be 3 over 2, so this here is the centre, and the radius, so remember this is r squared, so the radius is going to be the square root of this. If you square root 53 over 4 is equal to root 53 over 2. Okay, I just want to quickly go through some things that I think are quite simple, but I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page, okay? So the radius goes from the center of the circle to a point on the circle, okay? The diameter is twice the size of the radius. It goes from one point on the circle to another point on the circle, and importantly, it always passes through the center of the circle, okay? And what's really key about the diameter is the center is the midpoint of the diameter, okay? So let's say that the 2 points that the diameter connects, let's say this point here is x1, y1, and let's say this point here is x2, y2, okay? If you don't know, the midpoint between x1, y1 and x2, y2 is equal, so the x coordinate is going to be x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and the y coordinate is going to be y1 plus y2 is equal to 2, okay? And we can use this in order to find the center of the circle if we're given the diameter, okay? So let's, for example, let's say that this point here is 5, 6, and let's say that this point here, the x2, y2, is minus 3, 4. So the midpoint is equal to x1, which is 5, plus x2, which is minus 3, so it's going to be plus minus 3, so it's going to be minus 3 like this here, over 2, and then this is going to be y1 plus y2, so 6 plus 4 over 2 like this here. So 5 minus 3 is 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 plus 4 is 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is the midpoint of these 2 points here, so therefore the center of this circle here is going to be this point, 1, 5. So this is how we can find the center of the circle if we're given 2 points that when they connect is the diameter. Okay, now another point, in year 1 chapter 5 we did a video on length and area, and we talked about that the distance, which we'll call d, between 2 points, let's call them x1 y1 and x2 y2, the distance between these 2 points can be given by this equation here, the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, okay? And this is useful for finding the radius, okay? So let's say, for example, we know know the center of the circle x1, y1, and we know a point on the circle x2, y2. If we use this equation to find the distance between these 2 points D, this is going to be the length of the radius. Alternatively, if you have 2 points on the circle x1, y1 and x2, y2, and you know that if you connect them, this is the diameter. If you find the distance between these 2 points D, you can get the radius if you divide it by 2, because remember the diameter is twice the size of the radius. So if you find the length of the diameter, if you divide it by 2, this will give you the length of the radius. Okay, so here's an example question where we're told the points A, which is -1, 1, and B, which is 5, -6, lie on a circle. And given that line AB is the diameter of the circle, we need to find the equation of the circle, okay? So for questions like these, I would always recommend drawing a quick diagram to help you visualize what's actually going on. It doesn't need to be accurate. I'm going to make it really rough, so I'm just going to say that this is the circle. I'm going to say that this is A, and this is B, and we're told that line AB is the diameter of the circle, so this connects the points A and B like this here. So this is the diameter and it passes through the center, and this is going to be the midpoint of A and B. Okay, so we need to find the equation of the circle. So in order to find the equation of the circle, we need to find the center of the circle and the radius. Let's start with the center, because this is just the midpoint of A and B. Okay, so the midpoint of A and B, okay, so the x coordinates are 5 and -1, so 5 minus 1 over 2, like this here, and then the y coordinates are -6 and 1, so it's going to be -6 plus 1, like this here, divided by 2, so this is equal to 5 minus 1, which is 4, divided by 2, which is 2, and then -6 plus 1 is -5, divided by 2 is -5 over 2, like this here. So this is the center. So now we need to find the radius. Now there are two ways that we can do this. We can either find the distance between A and B. This will be the length of the diameter, and we divide this by 2 to get the length of the radius. Or alternatively, we can find the distance between the center and one of these points, either A or B, and this will be the radius of the circle. So this would be the length of the radius. Let's do it the second way, because this is a bit easier. So let's use the formula for D. So remember, this is the distance between x1, y1 and x2, y2. Let's say that the center is x1, y1, and let's use point A. So this is x2, y2, okay? So D is the square root of x2, which is going to be -1, minus x1, which is 2, like this here, and this is squared, and this is plus y2, which is 1 minus y1, which is going to be -5 over 2, like this here, squared. And if you put this into your calculator, it's equal to root 85 over 2. So this is the radius of the circle. So therefore, we need to find the equation of the circle. So it's going to be in the form x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared. So it's going to be x. So we have the center here. So a is 2. So it's going to be -2, like this here, squared, plus y. And then b is -5 over 2. So this is now going to be plus 5 over 2. Like this here, squared, is equal to r squared. So we have root 85 over 2 here. So we need to square this. So this is going to be 85 over 4 if you put it into your calculator. So this here is the equation of the circle. Okay, so here's one final exam question for you to have a go at. So pause the video, have a go, and I'll go for the answer in about 5 seconds. Okay, so we're told the circle C has equation x squared plus y squared minus 10x plus 6y plus 30 is equal to 0. And for part A, we need to find the coordinates of the centre of C for 2 marks, okay? So we need to get this into the equation of the circle format that we've seen lots of times in this video. At the moment, it's in the expanded format. So we need to complete the square on this here. So let's write this with the x and the y terms together. So let's write this as x squared minus 10x plus y squared plus 6y, and then we have this plus 30 on the end, and this is equal to 0. So if we focus on the x squared minus 10x, so this is, if we complete the square on this, it's going to be x, and then we're going to half minus 10, so it's minus 5 squared like this here, and then this 5 here squared is going to be 25, so we're going to minus 25, so this is this part here. And then if we complete the square on this here, so this is going to be y, and if you half plus 6, it's going to be plus 3 squared, and then if you square 3, it's going to be 9, so we're going to minus 9 like this here, okay? So if we write it using this format, it's going to be x minus 5 squared minus 25 plus y plus 3 squared minus 9, and remember this plus 30 on the end, and this is equal to 0. So we can simplify this, so this is going to be x minus 5 squared plus y plus 3 squared minus 25 minus 9 plus 30. This is equal to minus 4 like this here, and this is equal to 0, and move this minus 4 to the other side to get x minus 5 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 4. So this is the equation of the circle. Now we need to find the centre of the circle. Okay, so we have this minus 5 and we have this 3 here, so the centre is going to be, so we have minus 5 here, so it's going to be 5, and we have plus 3 here, so it's going to be minus 3. So this is the centre of the circle. Okay, and then for part B, we need to find the radius of C. So this here is r squared 4, so therefore the radius is going to be the square root of 4, which is 2. So this is the radius 2. Okay, and then for part C, we need to find the y-coordinates of the points where the circle C crosses the line with equation x is equal to 4, giving your answers as simplified surds, okay? So when it intersects the line with equation x is equal to 4, we can sub x is equal to 4 into our equation for the equation of the circle and rearrange in order to find the y-coordinates. So if we sub in x is equal to 4, so here now it's going to be 4 minus 5, like this here, squared, plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 4. 4 minus 5 is minus 1, and minus 1 squared is going to be positive 1, so it's 1 plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 4. Move this 1 onto the other side, so we get that y plus 3 squared is equal to 3. So if we square root both sides, this means that y plus 3 is equal to plus or minus root 3. Remember, this can be plus or minus this here, and move this plus 3 onto the other side to get that y is equal to minus 3 plus or minus root 3. So there are two possible answers for y. Y can be equal to minus 3 plus root 3, or y can be equal to minus 3 minus root 3, okay? So there are 2 points where the circle C crosses the line with equation x is equal to 4. They're both going to have the coordinates x is equal to 4. One of them is going to be this y coordinate here, and the other one is going to be this y coordinate here.